No system, no adjustment, install 13, my name is Chen San. When I was born, I had a vision of heaven and earth. I am on this planet, backed by mountains. But I have a dream, which is to reach the pinnacle of the Tao. In the world, with me, Chen, someone will have the Tao. Hahaha, blue star is easy to say, but how should the extraterrestrial realm install 13? Please enjoy Chen San's journey against the heavens. Chapter 1. Home Phenomenon. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Hee 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 hee, ha ha ha. A group of children jumped back and forth into the 10-mile shop. Immediately, it was reported that the old blind man, the old Chen family at the village head, had given birth to a child. Didn't you always give us some fortune telling by touching our bones before? A few children immediately agreed, that's it. The child who speaks is undoubtedly the king of children. He is 12 years old this year, and his parents are wealthy people in the village, but they gave him a very local name called Chen. The old blind man bared his mouth, which had only a few big yellow teeth left, and his thoughts turned back to last winter. He was sitting next to a stone tablet 10 miles away, taking a sip of his old dry smoke, and felt a group of giggling voices coming from the southwest. After 3 bird calls, the old blind man stopped them. Second egg, come over and touch the back of his head. Second egg slowly walked over. The old blind man stood up, shook his old cigarette gun, and leaned his withered and wrinkled face towards the second generation's face. Startled second egg, he took 3 steps back and grabbed second egg's arm. Dan exclaimed in surprise, old blind man, what are you doing? Don't panic, Erden. I will touch your bones for you, and then I will touch your ear bones. Erden Funlong's cheekbones and ears will remain on the same horizontal line. People with this bone-like appearance work hard and run around in their lives, and have a sense of authority within the collective. Then they let out a sigh and touched the king's bone on their back until it reached the pipa bone. They finally let go, smacking their lips. Unexpectedly, this small 10-mile shop still has in the next 10 miles, dragons will emerge from the shop. Dan's voice sounded like a mist in the clouds, with little eyes fixed on the old blind man. I saw the old blind man slowly say, second egg, from now on, you will be a wealthy and prosperous person. Don't forget your blind grandfather. This time, Chen understood and was about to smile. His eyes narrowed and he said to the children behind him, do you hear me? Follow me in the future and make sure our brothers eat well and drink spicy food. Blind man, I'm coming too. The children are surrounding the old blind man, waiting to tell their fortune. Old blind. A few childish shouts pulled the old blind man back. The Chen family in the village has given birth to a child. It is said that they are busy both inside and outside, and they need to find a Taoist to give their child a name. Oh, what are you guys looking for me for? Can you give us some fortune tellers? You will definitely give us a name. Hahaha, sigh, you are such a clever little ghost. I'm just a homeless person, I can't be as powerful as you said. At this moment, 100 birds were dancing on the other side of the village, and the auspicious light from the sky shone on the village. The old blind man instantly opened his eyes, which were gray and white. His gaze was fixed on the village head, and with a swoosh, he picked up a piece of yellow soil and rushed out. Egg brother, have you seen it? The eyes of the old blind man are so terrifying, and that old blind man, who is already in his 70s and 80s, is even more powerful than my second brother who served in the army. He even stepped on the ground. Chen remained dumbfounded and swallowed his saliva. Iron Bull, aside from that, we should have met those Taoists from the TV series. They were genuine Taoists, which means that he had calculated our lives correctly. His direction was towards the village head. Just now, there were 100 birds dancing, and he should have been heading towards that direction. Let's follow and take a look. At this village head, Lao Chintu was anxiously pacing outside the tiled house until crying appeared, which immediately made him stop. The midwife came out of the room, wiped the sweat off her cheeks, and Lao Chen too immediately leaned in, anxiously asking if my wife was okay, whether she was a son or a daughter. Yu Hua is fine, he is a chubby son. Old Chen's hanging heart finally fell down. However, at this moment, there was a commotion coming from the door, and old Chen had to go up and take a look. After all, it was at his own doorstep, and he saw 100 birds dancing outside. The sky seemed to have been torn open, and a beam of light shone on his house. Worry, this is the auspicious sign of heaven descending. At this moment, the old blind man emerged from the crowd, dancing and dancing with his hands and feet. 100 birds danced in unison, bringing good fortune to heaven. Someone with good fortune will be born. Has a child been born in your family? As soon as they finished speaking, everyone burst into laughter. The blind man came to pretend to be a godly stick again. Who didn't know that old Chen's family had a child today? Old Chen was very happy that his child was born today, so he didn't tear him apart. But the old blind man further said, I have been waiting here for more than 20 years, waiting for the present day. There is no dragon vein in this place, and your child cannot become a major climate. It is highly likely that your child will suffer from backlash and will not survive for 15 years. You can hand over your child to me, apprentice to Longhu Mountain, nourish it with my dragon vein, absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and then become a climate. As soon as these words were spoken, the bustling crowd fell silent for an instant. Old Chen's face was already covered in dark clouds, and he angrily cursed, You old blind man, you tricked a child into getting on my head. Get out of here, get out immediately. You are not welcome at my doorstep. The old blind man gave a meaningful smile and then disappeared into the crowd. Everyone went up to comfort me, saying that Brother Chen is fine. The old blind man keeps talking nonsense all day. Don't worry about those words. Just now, my child told me that the old blind man can jump tens of meters in one go, even leaving a hole on the ground. Everyone adheres to the Tao, that is. Chapter 2. The Coming of Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At night, old Chen looked up at the sky, with a full moon rising and stars accompanying him. Recalling the words of the old blind man in my mind. Then he shook his head again, wondering if there was anything to think about when he got home. Old Chen, don't think about those things anymore. The child is now healthy and pure, how could it be as he said? You've been busy all day today and haven't named your child yet. Lao Chen let out a deep sigh, and yes, I was worried too much. Old Chen sat by the bed, watching Yu Hua holding his son in his arms. The little one also turned his big eyes and looked at old Chen. The father and son stared at each other like this, as if time had come to a standstill. Dong! Dong dong dong. A knock on the door pulled old Chen back, got up, and walked towards the door, asking who he was. Cough, it's me. Old Chen's gaze fixed and he said, What do you want to do at night, old blind man? Cough cough, the old Taoist pretended to be crazy and foolish in front of others. Today, I will have a showdown with you here. I am one of the heavenly masters of Dragon and Tiger Mountain, and your child's luck is not enough in this area to become a big climate. He may even suffer backlash and die suddenly. In order to make you believe my words, I will show you something today. After speaking, I saw the old blind man, his tattered clothes standing on his own without wind. His tightly closed eyes also opened at this moment, and lightning flashed through his white eyes. Then, the old blind man stomped his feet and shouted for thunder. With one hand exploring the void, thunder roared loudly in the quiet sky, and a lightning bolt the size of a baby's arm rushed straight towards the old blind man's hand. Yu Hua had seen this scene before, and he didn't know if it was just a dream. He couldn't even speak. Old Chen just glanced lightly, knowing that this was the five thunder technique of the heavenly master's mansion. However, there was no need for paper talismans or formation techniques. With just a shout of thunder, the method could be achieved, which was somewhat similar to the words of his own elders. Hahaha, old Chen, do you think my thunder technique looks like a fairy above the 9 heavens? Hahaha, the immortals are far behind, but they are comparable to land immortals. As soon as the old blind man heard this, his pupils shrank and his body tightened instantly, only because he could see through his own realm at a glance. If his realm was lower than his, he was not afraid at all, nor could he see his realm. There was only one possibility. Either the other person had the same realm as himself, or the other person was even higher than himself. The more he thought about it, the more terrifying it became. He came to this small 10-mile shop, waiting for the Son of Heaven to appear. Wait. What can be waited for are children who can match their own strength or even reach higher levels. What kind of person are you? Why live in this small 10-mile shop? Old Chen finished a series of questions. Old blind man, I'm too embarrassed to pretend. Your Excellency is actually an insider in the circle, so he immediately carried the old man dragon tiger mountain leader with both hands. And then, you've been waiting here for 20 years, just waiting for my son. The conversation changed, and a killing intent emerged in my eyes, still saying you wanted it. Oh no, Chen Jusher thinks it's complicated. 30 years ago, I followed my master down the mountain to experience Kunlun. Occasionally, I came across some heavenly secrets. Immediately, my master immediately returned to the mountain, gathered the elders, and calculated overnight. After 7, and 40.9 days of evolution, only the person with heavenly luck was born here. Is it so easy for Tianji to calculate? Alas, the price we paid for Longhu Mountain is the elder and master. Even now, they are still in seclusion for healing. I don't know if they can hold on, so they passed on the position of leader to me. So, my son is the son of Tianyun, Even if he has some connections with your Longhu Mountain, he can go back where he came from. Chen Jusher, what you don't know is that our sorcerers know some secrets that others don't know. People born in heaven don't have dragon veins to nourish them, and they can't survive for 15. Damn it, you cursed my son again and didn't tell the truth. When you slapped me, old Chen's head turned into a ghostly palm and his palm flipped outward. The blind man immediately pulled out with his left foot, lifted his withered arm, and put on a defensive posture. Bang! The old blind man took a few steps back, and old Chen's head and arms trembled slightly. This was a physical battle. Old Chen was surprised and asked, "Isn't the human body a weakness in practicing Buddhism? You are quite impressive, not much inferior to me." At this moment, the old blind man's suspicion that old Chen's level was lower than his own had become fragmented. Suddenly, 10,000 grass and mud horses rushed through his heart. He had only reached the land god immortal realm at an advanced age, while the other person, who was only in his 40s or 50s, unexpectedly had a relationship with his uncle, and he felt like he had lived on a dog for the next 2 to 3 decades. Mr. Chen, if we can reach this level, then I will open the skylight and speak frankly. As long as the son of Qi luck is there, there will be great opportunities, and atmospheric luck will come. That's why my master and the elders will spare no effort to bring him to the door to compete for this great opportunity and luck. Of course, whether you are with the son of Qi luck or not, your father will have great opportunities and luck. The condition is that the dragon veins of your dragon tiger mountain nourish you. TSK 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 TS. My son has his own ideas, let's wait until he sees if he wants to go to your dragon and tiger mountain. This if you don't receive nourishment from the dragon veins in 15 years, you are highly likely to suffer from backlash and may fall. This is pure farting. Don't think that your dragon tiger mountain has a dragon vein, and my ancient Chen family was not without it. The old blind man's pupils shrank, no wonder at such an age, he had such cultivation, which I should have thought of long ago. Immediately clasping their fists, disturbing them late at night, offending them a lot. No problem, when my child wants to go to Longhu Mountain, he still needs you, the blind man, to take care of him. That's right, I just stepped back and disappeared into the darkness. Old Chen, are you immortals? Yu Hua, not a deity, just a little more than ordinary humans know. Yu Hua murmured, why didn't you tell me these things before? Old Chen scraped Yu Hua's nose and explained, after all this, you wouldn't consider me crazy. Yu Hua was lost in thought. At that time, people like him would have been locked up in mental hospitals if they were placed in society. But now, as a real example, in front of him, he witnessed firsthand that lightning, the size of a baby's arm, could be summoned to his hand. Don't think too much, just remember that you and I are strong men. Where is strong? Where is strong, where is stronger ha? Yu Hua was taken aback for a moment, and then remembered some scenes in his mind. He lowered his head and raised 2 red clouds on his cheeks. He said angrily, disgusted. Yu Hua, if I have decided on a child, let's call it Chen San. He is born 2, 2 gives birth to 3, and 3 gives birth to all things. How arrogant he is. I really have culture. At this moment, Chen San in his arms started shouting loudly, as if annoyed by his father's boasting. You see, the child is bothering you. Quietly, I'll coax him to sleep. Yu Hua shook Chen San in his arms and hummed softly, shaking and shaking. My baby is going to sleep, with the gentle breeze blowing and birds chirping, the little dog running slowly, the kitten laughing secretly, the room quiet, and my baby sleeping. The child fell asleep, and Yu Hua snuggled up in old Chen's arms. Old Chen looked at the beautiful girl nestled in his arms, only 1 step away, and the saliva flowed down. Yu Hua pinched Lao Chen's waist and almost jumped up when he was doing something for him. Now tell your story, Lao Chen. It's a long story. When I met you at the age of 20, it was love at first sight. Chapter 3. 10 years later. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, the sun shone through the window on old Chen's cheek, causing him to yawn. Yu Hua rubbed his sleepy eyes and looked at the man beside him, realizing that you had put in so much effort. Talking about what to pay or not to give for love. Wake up and cultivate the land, and a perfect day starts with cultivating the land. And so, without realizing it, 10 years passed peacefully. 10 years later, a naked child by the riverbank shouted, listen carefully, this place is ruled by me, and when you see me in the future, I will be called third brother. The little girl with baby fat beside her blinked her starry eyes in agreement and said, I agree with the rule of the third brother. After saying that, she immediately looked at the naked boy next to her, squeezing his clothes tightly. Her face couldn't help but heat up slightly, and she didn't dare to look around. Looking at the boy's cheek, he had ink-like hair, skin better than snow, sword eyebrows and beautiful eyes, eyes like deep pools, and beautiful and flawless bones. Can't help but make the little girl's heart tremble. Chen San looked at her and responded by saying that Duo was very grateful. At this moment, Chen Duo felt as if she had eaten honey and her heart was overjoyed. Several people sneered and said, who are you? I don't know who the leader is in the vast expanse of northwest Xiantian. Chen San, I'll tell you that my elder brother is the egg brother from the 10-mile shop. If you say you want to rule this area today, I'll immediately sue my elder brother and ask him to tell egg brother. Cut, today we will show you your third brother's superpowers. Everyone, keep an eye on it. Your third brother will only perform once. The world is dark and yellow, and he will show himself through old Deng. In an instant, everyone saw Chen San's back twisted, with a circle of golden light rippling out. The scattered dots of gold formed a figure at a visible speed, and the figure appeared behind him. Chen San pointed his fingers together towards the river several hundred meters away, and with a loud bang, a dead fish exploded. The water splashed up to 100 meters high, making even the stones at the bottom of the river clear. The whole room fell silent, and Chen San couldn't help but look up at the stunned look of everyone in front of him. I don't know who exclaimed in surprise, "Third brother is powerful, third brother is domineering. I will go back and let my younger sister marry you. Third brother is Neo 13. My third brother is still young, how can he marry your little sister?" Chen Duo finished angrily. Hahaha, Duo is right. I'm still young. Everyone was cheering, and Chen San felt a bit ethereal as he listened to their cheers. At this moment, old Chen Tu, who was farming in the mountains, instantly threw down his hoe and turned into a ghost, rushing towards Chen San. He had just sensed that the protective shield he had left on Chen San had been activated. In just a few breaths, he arrived at the riverbank and saw his son. Don't force his face to be naked. Old Chen scattered his head and saw that there were no experts around. He was so angry that he blew his beard and stared at him, using his toes to figure out that this kid was pretending to be 13. Chen San rolled over. Chen San saw his old friend Deng Sun coming and panicked as he put on his clothes. Chen Duo next to him had already transformed into Chen San's little fan sister. Third brother, you're wearing your pants backwards. Don't worry about so much, bring my shoes over quickly. Oh, good. Old Chen caught Chen San under his arm and disappeared from everyone's sight. The crowd began to discuss again. Did you see that third brother knows the immortal technique in Journey to the West? When pointing at him, I could even see the stones inside clearly. I'll go back and tell my mom that there are immortals in our 10-mile shop. Everyone was chattering incessantly. Chen Duo let out a cold snort and unconsciously changed her address. I saw the person leading the way explain that Sangu is capable of bearing the title of Sangu, which is a deity. Little bunny, who asked you to leave me with my protective body? Don't you know those kids who go back and say a few words? I need millions of lies to help you wipe your butt. Also, I spent 3 months refining that protective body. When it's good, you let me go for free just to pretend to be 13. I'm not happy not to beat you up. Chen San felt a sense of security instantly as he hid behind Yu Hua. If Lao Deng's child knew he was wrong, adults wouldn't remember him, so he would let me go. If you go to the ground in the future, you still need my child to handle the aftermath. If you beat me up, no one will handle the aftermath for you in the future. Old Chen was a little happy listening to what was said earlier. His son might have misunderstood, but something went wrong when he heard it from behind. This horse rider is cursing me, my little bunny. This time, old Chen really took action. He quickly moved behind Yu Hua and picked up Chen San. The sound of the snap was so loud, it was so soothing. Wow, my mother always hits me. Yu Hua quickly pushed away old Chen and scolded him, saying that it was enough for Chen Batian. My son made a mistake, so it's okay if you don't protect him as a father. I still plan to deal with him. Yu Hua, you should spoil this kid. From childhood to adulthood, whenever I hit him, he ran behind you. Yu Hua angrily said, how long can the child stay? At this moment, old Chen felt a bit confused. After years of careful consideration, he decided to send Chen San to Longhu Mountain, because once he went to the Chen family, Chen San's track would be clearly planned. Calculate that the day is coming soon. Old Chen immediately changed his face, revealing a smile from his aunt. He approached Chen San and said that his father was doing it for his own good, otherwise he would be easily beaten by society in the future. Chen San looked at Lao Deng's smile and felt a bit scary, so he could only smile and say that it was all for the good of his father. Hahaha, does my buttocks hurt? When it comes to my buttocks, Chen San immediately burst into tears. He took off his pants and raised his buttocks to give to his mother. Has my buttocks blossomed? My buttocks are burning like fire now, it hurts so much. Yu Hua looked at the 5 fingerprints on his buttocks and glared at Chen Batian, coldly saying, good you, Chen Batian. You're really ruthless. Chen Batian touched the back of his head. This was actually intentional in his heart. He pretended to be 13 when he was 13, but he was hung up for 3 days and just wanted to tidy up his son. However, these words cannot be spoken out, and one cannot be beaten up by one's own wife. One can only be scolded by one's own wife. At dusk, the news of Chen Sanhui's immortal method had already been told to his family by the children. The family did not believe in what was in the mouths of teenagers at all, and only felt that Sun Monkey was mesmerized and would not let the children read it in the future. But some people are different. When the name Chen San comes to their ears, they vividly remember the words of the old blind man 10 years ago. Since that day, the old blind man has disappeared in Shilapu, but since those words he left behind have been fulfilled one by one. Chen Erden had already become a tycoon, with hundreds of people under his command. When his family asked him, he didn't even say what he did, but only said that he was now a tough old man and was called a jerk in society. Others have also slowly entered the track that the old blind man said. Of course, if Chen San doesn't go to that mountain, he won't be able to survive for 15 days, which is also remembered in people's hearts. A group of children led by Chen San came to ask Chen San to go out and play. Chen San quickly swallowed a few bites of food and planned to go out, but was held down by his own boss. San, you can't go out tonight. There's something I need to tell you. Immediately, he said to the child at the door, Chen San has been sent back to his master's house by me. Chen San Gang wanted to speak up, but found himself speechless. Thinking about it, he felt like he was being suppressed by something and couldn't break free. Chen Duo's eyes turned red outside the door at that time. Chen San's departure was so sudden, and she immediately asked in a sour voice when Uncle Chen San would return. How could Lao Chen Tu, a human spirit, not be able to discern the thoughts of the little girl in the movie? His sharp eyes immediately recognized that Chen Duo was a beautiful embryo, and he secretly smiled in his heart. With Lao Zi's former demeanor, he took in a little beautiful girl. In about a few years, you all go back. Let's disperse, and Chen Duo quietly said a wait in her heart. Chen San couldn't make a sound or move inside the room, he was so awkward. Old Chen returned home and said, Hahaha, don't blame your father for my exceptional skills. You're different from them, you need to learn to accept these things. Release the shackles on Chen San's body. Chen San is about to rush out and be blocked by Chen Batian. Please let me go. San, I'll show you something, and then I saw myself standing tall. I picked myself up and rushed out of the door, and with just one kick, I flew back home with just a cigarette. He knows he's always amazing and has heard many stories about himself, but this is flying. What's the difference between him and immortals? He can't speak for a long time. Hahaha, old Chen laughed heartily and brainwashed Chen San. A person brainwashed a 10-year-old child, that's not something he came up with. Chapter 4. Departure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My mother waited for me to learn a great skill before I came back. With a gentle touch towards his son in his eyes, Yu Hua touched Chen San's head and smiled gently, saying that his mother is waiting for you to learn the great skills and come back. It's getting late, your dad. I'll get you up now. Chen San couldn't bear to part with his mother at this moment, and suddenly his eyes were filled with mist. Yu Hua turned his head to wipe away the tears from the corners of his eyes, lifted Chen San's cheeks with both hands, and kissed Chen San's forehead. Yu Hua quietly looked at his child like this. Time seems to have come to a standstill at this moment, the empty mountain is silent, the cold moon is suspended above the sky like a hook, and the cold and pure white moonlight passes through the branches and sprinkles on the uneven ground, as if drawing a lonely ditch between the two. Chen Batian was also somewhat emotional by the mother and son. He rubbed his eyes and said to the mother and son, all right, it's like going to learn a craft and it's like parting in life and death. San said goodbye to your mother, and we set off. Yu Hua turned his back, and after Chen San finished talking about his mother waiting for me to come back and see you, he was lifted up by Chen Batian and left in the air. Chen San was protected by his own strong energy, and as he watched the remnants of the road following him, he couldn't help but get excited and fantasized about traveling across the world. Time quietly flowed away, and a hint of fish belly white appeared in the east. Chen Batian smoothed his flowing hair, put Chen San down, patted his shoulder, and said, "All right, the boy is in the city ahead. It's time for us to walk in." Wow! Chen San grew up in the village, and apart from seeing life outside on TV, he had never seen such a scene before. I saw the towering buildings in front of me, with many cars alternating back and forth on the road, and I couldn't help but feel like I was immediately in the bustling city. Chen Batian stopped a taxi and instructed to go to Jiangdong Provincial Railway Station. The two of them got into the car, and the driver looked at Chen San through the rearview mirror and said, "The child is quite handsome." Chen Batian smiled and said, I'm flattered." Immediately, the two of them started chatting. Chen San couldn't understand what he was saying at all, he only remembered where the big sword was best. The girls in Jiangdong all had unique skills, and Chen San thought they were all experts. He looked out the window board, admiring the street view. Wow, these big sisters are wearing so little. Chen San's eyes are almost full of small stars, really responding to the word, dazzling with flowers. Getting off the train and walking in the bustling train station, Chen San felt like everyone was staring at him. Is it something dirty on his face? No, their eyes seemed to be about to eat me, and they immediately moved their bodies towards Chen Batian's side. Guazi peanut beverage with earth eggs. The shouting of the nearby vendor caught Chen Batian's attention. He went over and asked for 2 bottles of water, took 2 earthen eggs, paid the money, and handed the eggs and water to Chen San. Let's eat while it's hot. Dad, I'm not hungry even if I don't eat. Before Chen San finished speaking, Chen Batian immediately swallowed 2 eggs. Chen San carefully asked, Are you not choking? You know, even if you choke, you should eat whatever you eat. The hall announced that the train to Eagle City is about to depart. Passengers are requested to go to the ticket gate to check their tickets. Chen Batian and Chen San were shuttling back and forth in the carriage, searching for their own spot. Chen Batian complained that his grandmother had not been able to find a spot for a long time and had forgotten how to find it. Forget it, just sit wherever there is available. He then pulled Chen San onto a nearby chair. Before Chen San could sit hot, he heard a coquettish shout. Uncle, you're sitting in the wrong seat. This is my seat. Chen San looked at a beautiful big sister, wearing a white T-shirt and denim hot pants. The towering mountain peak in front of her chest, along with her long and slender legs, couldn't help but have small stars in her eyes. Chen Batian awkwardly smiled and apologized. He pulled Chen San up and sat across from him. Chen San was a feast for his eyes all the way. Su Rushue naturally noticed the gaze of the little kid in front of her, frowned and pursed her fiery red lips to say something, but felt that the other person was just a child and very handsome, so she let Chen San's gaze wander freely. Chen San looked at the old man wearing a black Zhongshan suit next to the girl, who was also thinking about life with his eyes closed like his own father, a bit uninteresting, and turned around to fight for the benefits for his eyes. Seeing Chen San looking over again, Su Rushue turned her big eyes around and suddenly had a little idea. She rubbed her foot against Chen San's leg, and Chen San immediately looked at Su Rushue in panic. Su Rushue hooked her slender fingers at Chen San. Chen San understood her meaning and leaned his head over. A faint fragrance immediately came from his nose, which was more fragrant than any flower he could smell in the village. Knowing it was the scent of the older sister in front of him, his small face couldn't help but blush slightly. Su Rushue couldn't help feeling a little proud when she saw Chen San's small hand and slightly red face, which she had nowhere to place. She thought to herself that her sister's charm would always be so seductive. Su Rushue reached out and wrapped the back of Chen San's head around her. Her red lips lit up slightly in Chen San's ear and she said, "Are you pretty, little brother?" After speaking, he leaned back in his seat and stared intently at Chen San. Chen San's face was already slightly red, and in an instant, it turned red to the base of his ears. He hesitated for a while, unable to speak, and his head was almost buried between his legs. After leaving the station, Chen San saw several cars lined up in front of him, surrounded by more than 10 men in suits and leather shoes holding black umbrellas. "Xiaoxue, when we go to Longhu Mountain this time, we must put away the ladies' airs so that we can invite that person to come down the mountain and save our Su family." "I got it." Grandpa Chen San turned his ear and noticed that he was somewhat familiar with the sound and expression. He turned his head and saw that it was the big sister in front of him on the train. He quickly turned his head around and pulled Chen Batian away from Su Rushue in the opposite direction. "What's going on?" I'm in such a hurry, it's okay. I drank too much water in the car and now I have a bit of urgency to urinate." Chen San came out of the public restroom. "Dad, when will we arrive?" Chen Batian joked that he wanted to go up the mountain in such a hurry. No, Chen San thought to himself that the big sister sitting opposite him on the train was actually a young lady. The main reason why so many cars came to pick her up was because she blushed when she saw her. It was better to leave early. At the foot of the mountain, Chen San looked at the mountain range and smacked his lips, wanting to say something. However, he was so speechless that he couldn't even utter a cultural fart. At this moment, Chen Batian said, "The broken wall blade of the sword is still here today, and the young girl on the 100-foot plank road is in spring." A thunderous laughter echoed from behind Chen Batian, saying that his master was a poet. Chen Batian looked over and saw an elderly man in his 60s with half-white beard and hair walking with a woman in his sight. "Shout fate has it, old man. Let's meet again." Su Rushue stepped forward and coldly said, "In society, my grandfather is respectfully called Su Lao." "Uncle, it's a bit impolite of you to call him that." "Like snow, do not be impolite when retreating." But Grandpa, Su Rushue still wants to say something. Interrupted by Su Lao's hand, he could only stare at Chen Batian. Su Laolang's voice made the gentleman laugh, but the girl was impatient. Chen Batian waved his hand, "It's okay." When Su Rushue saw this scene, she was angry. Her grandfather was so polite, and he even pretended. "Sir, this trip." Chen Batian's eyes twitched and he casually gave me a reason to take his child on a trip here. There is no doubt whether the words are true or false. The key is to bring a teenager, who is no different from those tourists. Even if you want to distinguish, you cannot tell. Su Lao talked to Chen Batian about the unique mountains and peaks of Mount Longhu. The two groups of people separated, and Su Rushue asked in dissatisfaction, "Grandpa, why are you so easy going with that person?" "Hahaha, Xiaoxue, that's why you're too young. That person just now, there's no extra step between opening and closing the steps, and the distance between each step is the same, indicating that this person is a practitioner." Then we can't let him be so indulgent." "Hahaha, there are many things in Xiaoxue's world that you haven't seen before. Some of them may seem unbelievable to me, but unfortunately, he does have them. He could have happened. We can't gamble whether that person just now was rumored to be a master. In short, a little restraint is necessary to live a long life." Su Rushue listened in the mist, but Suo Xing put on her headphones and stopped listening to her. Chapter 5. Fork Assembly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dad, are so many people going up the mountain to cultivate like me? Chen Sanhao is a strange path. Hahaha, silly kids are the real tourists who play in the mountains and water, while we are heading towards the back mountain. The back mountain is not open to tourists, only to some strange people and things. Only those who meet there will be. How could we meet on this front mountain full of tourists? The figures of the two gradually disappeared into the forest. The two of them chatted and chatted, but Chen Batian suddenly changed his tone and said seriously, "Sanner, you must remember to go to Longhu Mountain. If there is danger, you can activate my protective gear. You cannot use it recklessly like in your hometown." Chen San put away his smiling face and looked at his father's unrecognizable expression. He nodded solemnly and replied, By the way, I will also tell the old blind man that if I don't teach you martial arts and mental techniques, you don't want to either. You are the son of Chi Luck and will have great opportunities to accompany you. Just use the technique of breathing that I teach you on a regular basis. Wow, didn't I come to this mountain to learn great skills? Why did you suddenly make me stop learning these things? I only learned the technique of breathing that you taught me yesterday, so what am I doing here? It's better to practice at home. Chen San fired off a string of thunderbolts and looked at Chen Batian with bright and lively eyes. Chen Batian smiled indifferently and then said, "You don't understand. The reason why I am so powerful is because I absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to increase my own strength. However, the spiritual energy of the 10-mile shop we are in is scattered, and you can't even absorb it for 10 years. With the dragon vein blessing on this mountain, it's much easier." At this moment, the sun was shining, and Chen San's forehead was covered in beads of sweat. Facing the scorching sun of over 20 degrees, he couldn't bear to climb such a high mountain again. Puckered and complained, "Dad, why don't we fly up there?" Hahaha, Chen Batian immediately waved his hand and took Chen San into his arms. He instantly bounced up and a few leaves fell to the ground, creating a beautiful arc in the air. It's this long-lost feeling again, hahaha, sooner or later Chen San will fly higher. Su Wenshan, from the Su family in Jiangdong, came to pay his respects to Qiu Daoren. The two gatekeepers were surprised. The Su family, known as the wealthiest in Jiangdong, is a black and white all-encompassing entity in the entire Jiangdong region. Immediately, the elders have all closed down. "Please go back, both of you." Upon hearing these words, Su Wenshan almost lost his footing, thanks to the support of Su Rushue. Su Rushue looked at her grandfather with a desolate expression and arched her waist, and in an instant, she grew much older. Her heart couldn't help but feel waves of heartache. She turned around and asked the two gatekeepers if there was anyone in Longhu Mountain who had the same strength as the Qiu elder mentioned by my grandfather. The two gatekeepers looked at the beautiful woman in front of them and asked themselves a question. They wished they could tell them everything they knew immediately, and they were all competing. Now, only the sect leader is left behind. Su Rushue's heart immediately froze with joy and she said, "Take me and Grandpa to visit your sect leader." At this moment, the two disciples guarding the gate said with a bitter expression, "The head of the sect has a divine dragon that can be seen from the beginning but not from the end. Sometimes, when it disappears, it has been 20 years since it disappeared. We have only recently returned, and we don't know where the head of the sect is." At this moment, Su Rushue's mood sank to the bottom of the valley, frowning and pondering something. "Dad, look at that big sister and old man on the train." Chen Batian couldn't help but feel a little curious when he saw that the old man could find the entrance to the back mountain, and he immediately fell down. Before anyone arrived, Su Wenshan heard a lazy voice coming from behind. "The old man had a chance to meet us again." Grandpa and son looked and saw that it was Chen Batian leading Chen San with a leisurely pace. Chen San dared not look at Su Rushue but could only stare at Su Wenshan. Su Wenshan said bitterly, "It was indeed fate." Suddenly, his pupils shrank, as if he had thought of something. Ordinary people couldn't even find the entrance to this back mountain. Even if he was the richest man in Jiangdong, he couldn't find this position without Elder Qiu taking him on a trip back then. Quickly clenching his fist with his right hand and using his left hand as his palm, he placed it about 30 centimeters in front of his chest. "Do you dare to ask Mr. Do another question?" After Su Wenshan finished speaking, he immediately looked up at Chen Batian, his small eyes filled with anticipation. Chen Batian closed his eyes and smiled happily. It's okay, it's okay. Just ask. Su Wenshan quickly exclaimed with joy, how did the gentleman find the back door of Longhu Mountain? Well, refused to answer. Everyone present was dumbfounded. This was intentional. Su Rushue was even more angry and about to explode. What kind of person is it? It's really. Su Wenshan's face was embarrassed and he could only say in a faint voice. The gentleman's answer was really wonderful. Perhaps there was some mystery inside, which was not something we and others could hear. Except for Chen Batian, this remark made everyone else dumbfounded. Even Chen San thought he could really lick, and Su Rushue almost fainted. When did her grandfather become so capable and humble? Hahaha, the old man is quite talkative. Of course, one can tell from one's own sharp eyes why this old man is so worried. Anyway, if one wants to do the last thing for Chen San, it's better to give this old man a favor. I'll allow you to meet the leader of Longhu Mountain later. Ah, what? Don't laugh, Your Excellency. My master is like a fairy, and on weekdays, he is like a divine dragon without a tail. It's like a little cow flipping its head and pushing it to the sky. But Su Wenshan felt that this was true and couldn't help but look forward to it. Chen San pouted discontentedly and shouted to the gatekeeper, my father is still a little cow stepping on the electric wire, and there is lightning in the cow's body. Su Rushue couldn't help but snort and burst out laughing. Seeing her grandfather looking over, she quickly covered her mouth with her hand. The two disciples guarding the gate couldn't bear it, hugging their stomachs and mocking them, saying, what a powerful person with lightning. A cold light flashed in Chen Baishan's eyes, and he let out a faint snort. Third, Dad is doing the last thing for you today. Dragons do not sing, tigers do not howl, a pair of little karami is ridiculous. Immediately rising into the air, it was just Nyobi with lightning. Today, I will let you guys open your eyes. The originally clear sky above their heads suddenly became dark clouds, with thunderbolts appearing faintly in the dark clouds. Boom! Dad, it's really a little cow crossing the South Pole. When the cow is pushed to the extreme, it almost blinds my titanium alloy dog eyes. Chen San exclaimed excitedly. Then he looked at Su Rushue again and pointed to my father Nyo 13 in the sky. He saw Su Rushue standing still. Shouting loudly to the two disciples who opened the door again, what's going on? This time, it's lightning, it's even more powerful than your leader's Nyobi, isn't it? The two gatekeeper disciples immediately turned flattering and said, what the young master said is right, it's just that the little cow is driving a motorcycle to force and coax. Our admiration for the young master is like a flowing river. Chen Sanshao said, stop and stop. Is it like the Yellow River flooding in the future, which is uncontrollable? Right, right, right. The young master is truly talented and intelligent. Smart head, have you watched too many movies? In the depths of Longhu Mountain, several divine senses swept in. Chen Batian let out a cold snort and wrapped his voice in spiritual energy, shouting, I haven't seen you for years, don't come safe. Everyone felt that Chen Baishan's voice was as loud as thunder, and they couldn't help but feel dizzy and dizzy. The old blind man immediately transmitted his divine sense. Master and elders, it was Chen Batian who arrived with the son of Qi Yun. After speaking, all his divine sense retreated. Hahaha, Lao Chen is safe and sound. He saw a figure from afar, following the sky and landing on the blue stone steps a few meters away. He was an old man in his 70s, but he had silver beard and white hair, a majestic appearance, and walked with agile steps. His clothes were graceful, and his face was full of wrinkles and vicissitudes. Although he had been tempered by time and frost, he had a dark color after being exposed to the sun, but now he was shining with a touch of red light, appearing lively. His appearance is impressive and awe-inspiring. The two gatekeepers were stunned at the moment and quickly approached their disciple Ma Xianfeng. Disciple Ma Qingfeng arched his fist and paid respects to the leader. The grandson of the Su family had already been shown a superhuman power by Chen Batian, leaving his mind blank for a moment. It wasn't until the word leader came to his ears that he slowly regained consciousness and quickly followed Su Rushue. Su Wenshan of the Su family and his little daughter Su Rushue came to pay their respects to the leader. The old blind man waved his hand to the two disciples and glanced at Su Wenshan. It turned out to be Su Lao from the Su family. Su Wenshan quickly waved his hand, not daring to take it seriously. He came down from Longhu Mountain and asked for something. Oh, the old blind man joked, what can make you the leader of Jiangdong Rare? To be honest, when I invited Elder Chiu down the mountain and used abnormal means to defeat my old opponent, I thought they would never get up again. But just a few days ago, he hired a master on Hong Kong Island and then killed Jiangdong again. My Su family has been in dire straits these days. The old blind man pondered for a moment and slowly said, this is your Su family's difficulty. There is a fixed cycle of cause and effect, and I cannot help you with this difficulty. Ah, isn't it that our Su family is about to end their baby? Su Rushue screamed and finished, her eyes already filled with layers of mist. Chen San stared at the beautiful sister, who was about to cry. Her father was so powerful, so she begged her father. As the saying goes, saving a person's life is better than building a level 7 pagoda. Thinking about it, she pulled Chen Baishan's hand. Dad, we are so powerful, why don't we help this beautiful big sister? Hahaha, kid, don't you think you should help him for free just because he looks pretty across the street? At least you need to make a profit, silly kid. As soon as Su Wenshan heard of the help of the immortal, he immediately spoke up. What Chen Xianren needed, our Su family will definitely do our best to fulfill it. Chapter 6. The Decision of the Great Way. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Batian and the old blind man will take a glance. Immediately, the two of them laughed loudly, causing Su Wenshan to feel a bit confused. The old blind man stood up and explained, at our level and our indifference to worldly things, besides, he is still. Hey hey hey. Chen Batian stopped the old blind man and gave him a wink. The old blind man instantly understood the meaning. He didn't want Chen San to know anything about the family. Su Wenshan couldn't help but look anxiously at Chen Batian. He was afraid that Chen Batian would suddenly stop helping him, so he asked Chen Xianren to clarify in confusion. Chen Batian helped his forehead and said, what do you like the most? Tell that old man and let him help you achieve it. Su Rushue couldn't help but be surprised that the fate of her family was in the hands of a teenager, which made him a bit unbelievable, but the fact was that. Chen San's childish voice sounded, and I like to see the big sister's long legs. Chen Batian was speechless for a moment, and with a black face, he gave Chen San an explosive chestnut on the back of his head. The old blind man is almost overjoyed. However, Su Wenshan was calculating in his heart that although it was a bit small, it was not impossible. If Xiaoxue could make Chen Xianren's child like him, wouldn't his Su family want? Su Rushue covered her red lips and looked straight at Chen San, who felt a bit embarrassed. Su Wenshan hurriedly said, when will we depart, immortal? Chen Batian laughed heartily and said, it's not urgent. I'll help you ask the leader of Longhu Mountain when he's available. The old blind man suddenly became alert and said, what do you want to do? Chen Batian said calmly, I still need to quickly go back and find Chen San's mother, old blind man. How can I have so much time? What does it have to do with me that you promised me to be a person? What doesn't matter to you? If it weren't for the sake of making Chen San happy, do you think I would agree to this? Has my son been delivered to you, and will you need to take care of him in the future? Those days will be too long for us to have feelings. I want you to get to know Chen San as soon as possible. Besides, Chen San's mother is still waiting for me to go back and cultivate the land. Hahaha, Sanner, remember what your father and I said to you. Chen Sangang was about to answer, but his ears were already calloused, and he saw that his father had disappeared. The old blind man cursed angrily, "Old bastard, forcing you to pack the remaining things for me to do." Su Wenshan was a bit stunned. This immortal was so unreliable that he left him to the leader again. I wonder if the leader will take action to save his Su family. The old blind man saw what Su Wenshan was thinking, waved his hand, and said helplessly. Su Jisher was here for a 3-day trip, and I took Chen San to familiarize himself with the terrain and teach him some Taoist techniques. Then we went down the mountain to help your Su family. Su Wenshan picked up his fist and bowed deeply before descending the mountain. Chen San seems to have discovered a new continent. The old man and his 2 elder brothers said that you are amazing. Apart from my father, I have never tried anyone else's fate. Take me to heaven again and let me see what's going on. The gatekeeper felt a bit embarrassed and was about to explain, but was told by the old blind man that it was harmless. The old blind man smiled and said, Chen San, come with me. The elderly and the young walked on the stone steps, and the sunset cast a long shadow for the 2 of them. Do you understand why your father and I are so powerful? Is it because you are alchemists who inhale spiritual energy into your own body? Yes, then he said that some young people can easily defeat more than a dozen or even more Sonda champions, which is a fusion of qi refining in oneself, demonstrating superhuman abilities. On, that old man, when can I be as powerful as you? Hahaha, you're faster than us, little one. The specific duration depends on how you cultivate. The Dao Ju is mine, and Gu Wushuang grabbed a planet and threw it at the middle-aged man in front of him with a black cloak. He slowly extended his right arm, and in the palm of his hand, there was an instant concentration of destructive power. He let out a soft drink and when the 2 had not yet come into contact, and the planet began to gradually dissipate. Gu Wushuang saw this, like a dragonfly skimming the water backwards and spinning in the void. He pointed his sword and swung a light curtain, causing the void to gradually disintegrate. The 2 forces joined hands, and the Milky Way came to an end. The 2 figures shot backwards at the same time, and after a long time, the river was blasted out into a hole, sucking the great Tao into it. Gu Wushuang and the middle-aged man in the black robe saw this situation and in the blink of an eye, they reached the hole. With a powerful force, they extended towards the great Tao in the river of time, and as they were about to grasp it, the hole in time was instantly filled. The 2 of them were stunned and suddenly let out a roar that made the void tremble 3 times. It's pointless for the 2 of them to continue fighting, after all, they are both old monsters at the peak of the Emperor. The reason for taking action this time is because the Great Tao decision contains all the cultivation methods of the world, which are not very tempting for both of them. The most tempting thing is that there are rumors that the Great Tao decision can break through the level above the Emperor. The 2 of them tore apart the void and left, doing the same thing as commanding their own forces to investigate where the Great Tao had fallen. They once cut open a long river of time and entered, only to find that the inside was grand and huge, even the great Emperor appeared small inside, and had no choice but to come out. On the other hand, the Dao Ju spans hundreds of millions of light years in the river of time, transforming into an ancient yellow light that falls towards the blue planet. Chen San was in his own dream, imagining himself wandering through the 9 heavens and 10 earth. In a moment, the originally brilliant world was filled with chaotic energy. Chen San exclaimed, "What is this? I can only see my limbs, and I can't see anything else." He couldn't help but feel a little flustered. What is that? Even the radiance of the sun can cover it, but this thing can emit bursts of yellow light. I walked forward and looked. 5 meters. 3 meters. Shoo. Before Chen San could react, the yellow light shot at him and went straight into his mind. Ah! Chen San felt his head about to explode and rolled on the ground holding his head. After 3 breaths Chen San stood up from the bedboard, propped up his dizzy forehead, gasped for breath, touched his back, and made a sweat. He closed his eyes and murmured back to his dream just now. Shoo. Chen San took a deep breath, and just as he closed his eyes, the yellow light in his dream appeared in his mind. Worry. Chen San pinched his arm, feeling a bit painful. It wasn't just a dream, but he then focused his attention and approached the yellow light. 3 ancient and quaint characters appeared before Chen San's eyes. The Dao Ju. Is this what Dad called a great opportunity? I'm going to tell the old man to tell Dad. As soon as I jumped out of bed, a thought immediately came to my mind. 3. Never trust anyone, often the people who can hurt you are the ones you can't think of. Shaking my head, if that old man had any ill intentions, I would feel cold. I don't want these things anymore. Let me take a look at this Dao Ju. Chen San closed his eyes and focused his attention on the Dao Ju, which emitted a faint light. The realm of mortals, also known as the lower realm, is the initial realm of cultivating immortality. The exhaustion of visceral energy is insufficient to ensure our health, so we need immortal energy to nourish. To cultivate immortality, ordinary people need to establish a realm of vitality, to store internal energy, in order to achieve the goal of preserving vitality and longevity. Chen Sanxiang continued to look at the second page, but his mental strength bounced back before he could get close. Well, let's start cultivating to this mortal realm first. Chapter 7. Dragon Vein. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Chen San stretched lazily and practiced the Dao Ju for several weeks. He felt his pores clogged and wiped away any remaining impurities from his nostrils. Pushing open the wooden door, he murmured, "The sunrise in the east really wakes people up. Today is another sunny day, and I haven't walked around this dragon and tiger mountain yet." Then, with steps that I don't recognize, I walked through the door, strolling through this beautiful forest where birds sing and flowers are fragrant, and the air is pleasant. Oh my, why isn't there a single person? Is this a barren mountain? Chen San complained with dissatisfaction. Oh, there's a lake here, and I'm feeling my pores clogging up. I went down to take a shower, and in less than 2 seconds, a few clothes were thrown onto the nearby bluestone by Chen San. Suddenly plunged into the lake, splashing a little water. Great! At some point, the old blind man sat cross-legged on a blue stone, watching Chen San play in the water, and sighed, "Are you truly the son of luck?" Just as he arrived, he found the spiritual energy pool that was born in this land of dragon veins. The old blind man squinted his eyes. Chen San felt how this spiritual energy pool was. "Old man, when did you come? You didn't say hello when you came, and you secretly watched me take a shower. Don't you feel embarrassed?" "Hahaha, I'm old and have never seen anything in the world." Cut. Chen San plunged into the water again, ignoring the old blind man. "Until I was tired from swimming, I lay on the blue stone next to the old blind man and took a sunbathe." "Tired, you sit cross-legged and feel it here. Ong, is there anything brilliant here?" The old blind man laughed but remained silent. Seeing the old blind man only laughing but not speaking, he reluctantly said, "Let me give it a try." Not feeling or knowing, I was startled. The spiritual energy here was so strong, and I looked at the old blind man in shock, waiting for him to popularize science for me. Hundreds of years ago, my first ancestor, the dragon and tiger, traveled through this place and discovered that it was favored by heaven and earth and had the power of a dragon and tiger. He settled here and named it Dragon and Tiger. The reason why this place has such strong spiritual energy is that my ancestor implanted a young dragon vein into the spiritual pool where you just played in the water. These are the sayings of my cultivators, the old blind man recalled for a moment, and in the secular world, dragon veins refer to undulating mountain ranges. Because mountain ranges are similar in shape to dragons in many aspects, Feng Shui compares mountain ranges to dragons. In ancient Chinese traditional geography, dragon veins are seen as a special geographical form. The ancient Feng Shui technique first promoted the 5 elements of geography, which are searching for dragons, observing sand, observing water, acupoints, and standing in the direction. Dragon is the geographical context, soil is the flesh of the dragon, stone is the bone of the dragon, and grass and trees are the hair of the dragon. The first step in searching for a dragon is to first search for the mountains of our ancestors and parents, examine our chi and meridians to avoid getting angry, and distinguish between yin and yang. It is necessary to understand the origin and destination of the dragon in order to determine the auspiciousness and inauspiciousness of cause and effect. The feng shui industry recognizes that Kunlun Mountain is the ancestor of all mountains and the source of dragon veins, and is the ancestor of dragons. Dragon veins originate from Kunlun and extend to various parts of the world. The layout, structure and grading of dragon veins are similar to a large tree with root dragons, stem dragons, branch dragons, and leaf dragons. The place where the spiritual energy of the dragon veins gathers and blooms and bears fruit is considered a feng shui treasure, also known as the dragon cave. "Wow, old man, you know so much," and then he said, "No wonder the external spiritual energy is so sparse that you can still be so powerful. It turns out that you have this spiritual energy pool to help." This spiritual pool only serves as an auxiliary function. Whether it can be refined depends on one's own talent and nature. When I was young, I was very heroic and intelligent, known as the first genius of dragons and tigers. Everyone loves me, and beautiful women come to show their love. I won't say how many years and years I have reached. Right. Money doesn't buy a radio. I'll listen to your old man talk big. You're a beautiful woman who everyone loves to show your love. When the coffin is opened, I won't tell you about my cultivation. Chen San, you are so angry that I want to give him a burst of corn, which shows that Chen San has entered meditation and cannot help but give up. After Chen San entered the state, he followed the Zhou Tian cycle in the Dao Ju. The old blind man opened his eyes wide and watched, breathing and inhaling as if he had merged with heaven and earth. He could enter the Tao so quickly. Is there still a heavenly principle in this? It took him 2 years to experience the spiritual energy around him. When he entered the Tao, it was truly a demon. The next thing that happened completely frightened the old blind man. Chen San was like a bottomless pit frantically refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The lakes in front of him condensed into a vortex, and then a water column was drawn out from the vortex. The old blind man fixed his eyes and saw that this grandmother's leg was not a water column, but rather a water column that condensed spiritual energy. He had never seen such a thing before, so he quickly transmitted his thoughts to his master. The water column was guided to his head by Chen San and gradually disappeared into his body. Chen San felt that now he could punch the old blind man next to him, slowly opening his eyes. The old blind man, let's touch each other. The old blind man received the divine power of his master, a phenomenon known as spiritual energy infusion, which only appeared in mythology. He was then asked to cultivate a good relationship with Chen San. Coupled with his injury, he was righteous and looked down on the Dragon and Tiger Mountains. Whether his injury with the elders could improve or not depends on the great fortune of the son of Qi Yun. Chen San looked at the old blind man, who was now able to swallow an egg with his mouth. The phenomenon that appeared in mythology actually appeared on the child next to him. Turning to his senses, he changed his amiable smile and slowly said, "Do you think this half-day of cultivation has made you feel like you're good again?" Chen San humbly said, "That's not true. It's just that I feel like there is a powerful force in my body that makes me challenge you." Okay. The old blind man sent out 3 good shots in a row. "Come on, punch me and I'll see how powerful your body is. Dare you challenge me?" Chen San waved his right arm, clenched his fist like a bow, and in an instant, he swung it out. In the eyes of the old blind man, this was too slow. He dodged any one of his movements, and the sound of breaking the wind sounded. Bang! Chen San felt like he had hit an incredibly hard piece of steel, so he quickly withdrew his fist and shook it, complaining about the pain. "Old man, is your palm made of iron?" The old blind man was once again shocked in his heart. This punch can knock down a cow, and a 10-year-old child can knock down a cow with one punch. What concept is this? However, we still need to polish him, and immediately burst out laughing. "Hahaha, this is the power inside your body. You see, I extended a hand and blocked it. Young man, the road is still long, so we need to walk slowly." "What, don't you even think about how many years you've been practicing? You've already grown a big beard. If you could be beaten away with just one punch, wouldn't you have been living on a dog these years? Old man, am I invincible in society now? Hahaha, at most you are a master of black boxing now, surrounded by more than 10 people, and you are still a bit overwhelmed. Of course, they have great strength, and since you are versatile, your speed should also improve. If you want to run, you should still be able to run. If you face someone who cultivates like us, you will be killed with a single move. Oh my, I am a master of black boxing, so I can walk horizontally in the big city." The old blind man struck again. "You have never seen the power of modern weapons before. An ordinary person without cultivation can easily defeat you with a small pistol. As the saying goes, young people still have a long way to go, walk slowly. Old man, you don't know why I have an invincible heart. Isn't it that you and my father are behind me? You are revered beings like immortals, and I'm afraid of a hammer. I might as well hide behind you." The old blind man smiled deeply and thought to himself that in the entire Blue Star, no one might be able to compete with Chen San in terms of supporting mountains. However, Chen San only knew about the two of them and did not know the larger supporting mountains behind him. Self-strength means eternal strength. Strive for external strength. In the event that external strength is not present, there is a saying in the world that goes, "It is better to rely on oneself than on others. If one relies on others, they will fall, if one relies on others, they will run, if one relies on water, they will flow. They are the most reliable." The old blind man said it deeply and disappeared. Leave Chen San alone to think. Chapter 8, It turns out to be a little loser and an old blind man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days passed in a flash, and the accumulation of these 3 days allowed Chen San to gradually utilize the power in his body with ease. Chen San found an old blind man meditating by the lake. "Old man, today is the 3rd day. Aren't you going down the mountain?" The old blind man was speechless and let out a cold snort. "Is it that cheap for me, the land immortals? They didn't come to find me, but instead asked me to find them." Chen San's eyes rolled as he hadn't seen enough of Su Rushue's long legs. He had a small flame in his heart and wanted to see Su Rushue earlier. He went to the lake to find the old man and asked when he would set off. I didn't expect to receive such an answer. While Chen San was pondering how to trick the old man down the mountain, the old man exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and they arrived. Ah! Who has arrived? Jiangdong Long 2, let me go down the mountain 3 times, and you can practice well in this emerald lake. Wow, old man, you went to enjoy the fireworks in the world, you didn't take me with you. The old blind man was taken aback. What the hell? I am helping your father fulfill his promise. Yo, are you taking me with you? I haven't played in the city before, so I was sent to this mountain. Chen San grinned his lips for a while, but the old blind man couldn't bear to listen. In the end, he still brought Chen San along. Wow, old man, there are so many people here this time. Gaga has pictures and noodles. He and the old man had not yet walked out of the mountain gate when they saw a man with a cut in a suit, leather shoes, and a row on each side. Su Wenshan made a gesture of invitation, and the men with a cut in their shoes respectfully welcomed the Taoist down the mountain. Su Wenshan followed the way. Taoist, please come this way. When he walked over with the old man, Chen San's hearing was already extraordinary. He heard the few inch heads whispering, "Damn it, how did the old man walk through these corners without opening his eyes?" The person next to me suggested that perhaps they are familiar with the road. Cut, I thought I was playing crickets, but I didn't expect to be concerned about the old man not seeing us walking. At the foot of the mountain. Taoist, please open the car door. The old blind man got into the car, and Su Wenshan closed the car door on his heel. Then he turned his head and stared at Chen San in the secluded path of Suwen Mountain. Su Wenshan suddenly felt like he was being targeted by a fierce beast, and his back cooled down. He quickly explained that Chen San was in the same car as Ling Sunday. Su Jisher's wishful thinking is almost on my face. Su Wenshan was embarrassed and could only laugh along. On the other side, Su Rushue took Chen San onto the car, brushed his hair, and joked, "Handsome kid, my name is Su Rushue, and you?" Chen Sanxian didn't answer the question and asked, "Aren't I in the same car as the old man?" Su Rushue's lips curved slightly, and she smiled lightly. Her smile was like the lingering spring rain in Jiangnan, intoxicating and emotional. Chen Sanlian quickly turned his head away and dared not look directly at her. The old man has his own ideas. As a child, you can't understand what they say. It's better to chat with your sister. Sweetheart, my name is Chen San, big sister. Oh, that's a good name. No, it's not true. My name can make all things come to life. Who believes it? The two of them got into a fight, and the inch-headed man driving saw this. His own young lady is usually very cold, and today he saw such a childlike side. Su Rushue never imagined that Chen San, who was only about 1.3 meters tall, could knock himself down at 1.7 meters. Did this child eat Wangzi Nyobi candy? Oh my! Su Rushue let out a scream, and Chen San and the inch-headed man were both startled. "You're pressing on my hair, get out of it," push Chen San aside, straighten his hair, blush, and say what you're looking at. Have you ever seen a beautiful woman tidy up her hair? Chen San shook his head honestly, he had never seen it before. Su Rushue pouted and said she didn't pay attention to you before turning her head. The car was instantly quiet, and Chen San could only hear the roar of the engine and see the towering buildings flashing by. "Miss, here we are." After finishing speaking, the man with an inch head got off the car and walked around to open the door of Su Rushue. Chen San followed along, and what caught his eye were the 5 big characters of the Snow Moon Hotel. After touching his head, he asked in confusion, "What are we doing here to open a room for?" Su Rushue gave Chen San a white glance and said, "Stupid, what's on your mind? Hotels not only have rooms, but also meals." Cut, I haven't seen the world before, haven't I heard a saying called short hair, short vision? It is very suitable for me, young master. The man with an inch head touched his head, and Chen San closed his eyes and exclaimed, "Don't touch it. This lack of knowledge has nothing to do with you." Su Rushue saw for the first time that there was someone in this world who could speak so elegantly and nobly of shame. She ignored Chen San and stepped away from her slender legs. Her small waist twisted tightly and walked towards the hotel lobby. Chen San stared straight at Su Rushue's figure disappearing into the lobby before regaining his senses and saying, "A woman's waist is really a deadly sword." He walked towards the lobby with steps that he didn't recognize. The inch-headed man muttered in a daze, "Is this a 10-year-old child? How do you know so much?" Chen San took it in his ear and replied, "I learned it from an old man who drove the same car as your boss." The inch-headed man was stunned. Damn it, he could hear such a low voice. Sitting in the main seat, listening to Su Wenshan's explanation, the old blind man who had spent a lot of money to find a master with control skills from Hong Kong Island suddenly sneezed. Someone called me, and then pinched my fingers and calculated. My face couldn't help but turn black, and I secretly cursed you, Chen San. When did I say that a woman's waist is a deadly knife? Su Wenshan's face turned black when he saw the old blind man, and he thought he was afraid. He quickly made a promise to take out 20% of the shares. The old blind man smiled and wanted to catch him, wipe your Su family's butt, but there was no door. This fate arose because of you, and after some thought, I casually said, I'm not interested in money, let's leave the shares to Chen San. But Chen San is not yet of age and cannot be implemented. You can give it to him when he wants it in the future. At this moment, Su Rushue pushed the door and said, Grandpa, the banquet has been arranged. Wait for you two to go and take your seats. Chen San came out from Su Rushue's butt and said something cold to the old man. I saw a lot of food that I had never seen before. It tastes more delicious than the clear congee on the mountain with white steamed buns. Let's go and get some food. Cough. The old blind man felt a bit humiliated and coughed. 3 times, Lu Fangweng said in a poem, I have to use Wanqiu's simple method. I only eat congee to immortals. Chen San rubbed his head and looked at Su Rushue, asking what Sister Su meant by this. I don't know about this either. Su Wenshan said that it was easy to learn how to become an immortal. Usually, you can become an immortal by eating more congee. After speaking, the gaze towards the old blind man couldn't help but be filled with waves of admiration. Quickly speaking, Taoist, let's have a banquet. The golden chandelier cast a soft glow, and the marble floor was as smooth as a mirror. Even Chen San could see his reflection. Chen San looked at the neatly arranged silver tableware, shining brightly. Exquisite dishes are placed on the table, with colorful and fragrant flavors. Chen San took a sip from the delicate caviar to the rich red wine stewed steak. Every dish is the ultimate teasing to the taste buds, and every moment here is like a beautiful painting, making people intoxicated and unforgettable. Chen San was eating the shrimp that Su Rushue had peeled for him in a bowl when the door was kicked open. Chen San was surprised and almost missed the bowl in his hand. Su Wenshan looked at the door with a resentful expression, realizing that the young master of the Bai family was so impolite. Chen San looked around with 2 forced steps, followed by 5 bodyguards and a middle-aged man, dressed in a delicate suit, tie meticulously tied, and hair slicked and shiny. Chen San was surprised for a moment. The man had a problem, and there were fluctuations in his energy. The young man had a cold face and mocked Su Lao for being good at talking. My dad has already brought a master on his way over, and you've been avoiding me these days, making it difficult for me to find you. The game of cat and mouse is not fun at all, but catching a mouse is different. Su Rushue angrily said, Bai Bing, my grandfather is several generations older than you. Did your family teach you how to speak to elders like this? This is Su Rushue, the flower of Jiangdong. TSK, as soon as I saw you, there was a fire in your abdomen. The charm of Jiangdong flower is indeed well deserved. I will give you a chance for Su Rushue to become my concubine, hand over 60% of the shares of the Su group, and depend on my Bai family. I will let your Su family go. Su Rushue's face turned angry as she bit her silver teeth and said, You picked up a wine glass from the table and threw it over. Bai Bing dodged sideways and was about to start mocking. I saw Su Wenshan stepping up. Don't think that your Bai family has invited experts, while my Su family doesn't. It's better to be careful when speaking. Bai Bing looked around, except for a few bodyguards, there was only an old blind man and a little brat, and then sneered, it turned out to be a little rascal, with an old blind man. Worry, who can't bear it? Chen San jumped out directly. Chapter 9. Is just a slap to death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What are you barking from a dog? What are you barking from a dog? You pale-skinned kidney deficiency kidney 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 kid. When Chen San scolds, his nostrils are as fast as the sky. Bai Bing's eyes were eerie, and then she gave a strange smile. Little pussy, come and give it a try. Chen San Gang wanted to step forward, but he didn't believe he couldn't do a kidney deficiency. Su Rushue pulled Chen San and anxiously said, he's 10 years older than you. How can your child fight him? This is the child of that one. If there is something good or bad with him, he will feel a bit cold behind his back when he thinks about it. Su Wenshan even hurriedly said, Chen San should not act recklessly. Hee. Chen San looked at Su Wenshan and slowly said to Su Rushue, don't you doubt that the person who stays with the immortal will have nothing to keep. Su Wenshan and Su Rushue had deep disbelief in their eyes, thinking that no wonder they dared to be so arrogant. It turned out that they also had strength. Bai Bing gave a strange laugh, Hahaha, it's been some time now. If you're still talking about immortality, leave a sentence. If you dare to come over, I dare to break your 2 front teeth. Chen San strolled past like an old man. The crowd looked at Chen San, who only reached Bai Bing's buttocks, and felt a bit comical. Xia Wuzhen hasn't even grown up yet, dare you come out and challenge me, and don't inquire about who my father is in Jiangdong. After speaking, just kick Chen San in the abdomen. Before anyone could react, they saw Bai Bing collapse at the door, curled up and shouting with her belly in her arms. Su Rushue covered her small mouth and looked at the scene before her with deep disbelief. Only the middle-aged man could see it clearly and was immediately stunned. He thought to himself that this boy had energy on his body, and at around 10 years old, he felt like he was living a dog again. Bai Bing reacted with her bodyguard and surrounded Chen San in groups. Bai Bing's eyes were gloomy, and he roared angrily, breaking all 4 limbs of this grandson for me. Chen San looked at the bodyguards who surrounded him with a fierce aura in his eyes, ready to step forward and break Chen San's 4 limbs. Chen San saw that the situation was not right, so he quickly ran to the back of the old blind man and spat out his tongue at Bai Bing. With a cheap expression on his face, he said, come and fuck me, please kill me. Damn it. Capture this little rascal for me and sell him overseas for those people to strip him alive. Su Wenshan and Su Rushue had a tug of war, thinking in their hearts why Chen San was so cheap. When a physical attack came, there was also a wave of spiritual attack. The old blind man spoke at this moment, so let the white little monk stop. I don't want to see blood, Taoist. Bai Bing chuckled inwardly, what are you doing in a daze? Give it to me. Bai Bing gave the order, and the bodyguard stopped dawdling and grabbed Chen San behind the old blind man. Humph, just a few ants. I could extinguish it with just a flick of my finger, the old blind man finished speaking, waved his robe, and the bodyguard was instantly knocked aside. The middle-aged man brought by Bai Bing couldn't stand still and thought to himself, master of internal and external qi transformation. Mom, what kind of god is this provoking? Can it be someone with a little bit of qigong who provokes it? Then he waved his sleeves, clasped his fists and respectfully said, I have seen the Taoist before, and I apologize to Mr. Bai here. The old blind man impatiently waved his hand and calmly said where to go back and forth. I will get angry next time I see you. Kara bowed respectfully and said thank you to the Taoist. Okay. Chen San cheered and said, old man, you're really amazing. Kidney deficiency, you don't have that strength. What are you barking like a dog? You don't need me to take action. You guys will fall. I have to say you're really weak. A hint of gloom flashed in Bai Bing's eyes. He was a smart person, and his cards were all bent over to the opposite side. No matter how much he fought, his current plan was to protect himself. When his father brought a master and killed him again, he would scratch the skin and cramp that little rascal. Bai Bing stood up holding the door and shook it, then let's go. The middle-aged man helped Bai Bing gradually disappear from everyone's sight. Su Wenshan clenched his fists at the old blind man. Taoist, Chen San injured Bai Bing. I heard from the person below that Bai Bing's father had already taken his master off the plane and was afraid he would take a night off. He would come over tomorrow and take Chen San to hide. Why is Su Jisher doubting my strength? Su Wenshan quickly shook his head. No, I just don't know what the situation is with the expert on the other side. I'm afraid he might take Chen San hostage. Hahaha, it's not a big problem. Anyone who brings it is nothing but a slap to death. Su Rushue pulled Chen San over and whispered to the child, what secret technique did you use just now that could kick Bai Bing to the door? Without saying anything, she pointed to her left face and looked at Su Rushue provocatively. She said, kiss me and I'll tell you. Pooh, I won't listen anymore, you damn rascal. On a quiet oasis by the river, there is a villa located at a perfect distance from the bustling city. The entire building outlines an elegant silhouette with simple lines, like a luxurious yacht moored on the shore, eye-catching. The villa is surrounded by lush trees and a blooming garden, isolating the hustle and bustle outside the door. In the villa, Bai Bing's father smashed the cup in his hand and cursed, damn it. Since that little brat has laid my son in bed and can't walk, I will break him into pieces. After speaking, coldly looking at Kara, how did you protect the young master? I miscalculated, the opposite side is I haven't waited for Kara to finish speaking yet. The 2-meter-tall behemoth interjected, what's the use of this kind of waste? Bai Bing's father flattered and said, Master Wu is right. Please drive this waste out of me. Kara looked at Master Wu, who was covered in flesh and tendons, and retorted, the other person is. Before even finishing speaking, Master Wu slapped him and sent him flying away. Noisy. Bai Bing's father only knew that Master Wu was introduced by a friend and said he was very powerful. When he first met, he was startled by this tender flesh, but he never saw Master Wu take action. Now, with just one slap, Kara can fly out. He knows that Kara can easily deal with more than a dozen strong men. Now, being slapped out by Master Wu clearly shows that Master Wu is not a god. Immediately praising him, Master Wu is like a divine dragon in the sky, with the power of dragons and elephants. My admiration for you is like a flowing river, continuous and uncontrollable, like the yellow river overflowing and unstoppable. Hahaha. Master Wu gave a rude smile, clearly tolerating this flattery. Don't forget the promise between you and me, Lord Bai. Speaking of the promise, the head of the Bai family couldn't help but change his expression, realizing that it was there. Then he asked when we would set off to uproot the Su family, the master. Don't be in a hurry, take a night off, and I wish you all the best to take the Su family under your command tomorrow. Outside the Bai family villa Pooh, I spat 2 mouthfuls of phlegm in a row. Kara, with a swollen face, angrily cursed, what nonsense Master Wu. He can only bully a small person like me. In front of the Taoist, you will find how funny you are. Come on, I have benefited from misfortune and finally got rid of the Bai family. If I don't get rid of it, I will definitely be the vanguard when I step onto the Su family gate tomorrow. I have already angered the Taoist today and will step onto the Su family gate tomorrow. Kara raised the corner of her mouth. Humph, wait for me to collect your body. Then disappeared into the darkness. Chapter 10. Fanjing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Su family villa is brightly lit. After some conversation, everyone knew through Su Wenshan's introduction that the person in front of them was Zhang Xianren, who was not involved in anything, and came out of the mountain because of the 10-year-old child next to him. Everyone in the Su family is thinking carefully about how to hold on to this big tree. Chen San had a thorough understanding of how fun urban life is, much more interesting than staying in the mountains and practicing in a boring way. He couldn't help but feel a little cautious in his heart. With a pitiful sigh, I looked at Su Rushue and blinked. Sister Su, what can I do to keep me in this city? I don't want to go up the mountain anymore. Su Rongshue rolled her eyes slightly and said that you wanted to go to school. The spiritual strength of the old blind man is so strong that every word he says falls on his ears without a drop. Send a divine message to Chen San. Ah, you haven't become the climate yet. If you don't nourish yourself on the mountain with dragon veins, one day you will suffer backlash. After this is over, you can go to the mountain with me to focus on cultivation. When the time comes, I will let you go down the mountain. Sister Sue, I won't say it anymore. I have no secrets here. At night, Chen San tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. Grandma had legs, and this bed was so soft that I almost got stuck in it. The long night was long and I didn't have the heart to sleep. Practice it, in case you encounter someone you can't beat in the future, it will be a bit embarrassing. This spiritual energy, Mom, shook her head, getting rid of interference and interruption. Straighten his back to relax his body, Chen San closed his eyes and focused his attention on breathing. His first priority was to constantly feel the air entering and leaving his body. Chen San fully exhales the gas from his body. When inhaling, he first fills his abdomen, pauses slightly, then fills his chest, and finally fills his collarbone upwards, keeping his throat open, his chin relaxed, pauses briefly, and then exhales normally. Chen San is like an old clock, sitting there, the night quietly passes by. Chen San's eyelashes trembled slightly. Observing his body from the inside view, he saw a beet-sized chi spinning in his abdomen. Damn it, this is the realm of vitality in the Dadao Ju. Hahaha, I can pretend to be forced again. Chen San Shu stretched his muscles and bones for a moment. As soon as he stood up, his eyes lit up and he noticed that the bed had become shorter. He quickly ran to the mirror, as if he had undergone a transformation. Chen Sanshin admired the image in the mirror, with a slender figure and a slightly hazy look on his already handsome face. Wow, I was a bit tempted by what I saw. Pack up and go out pretending, I really want to see Sister Sue surprised. Zhang Daoren, the gatekeeper, came to report, and when the Bai family arrived, Su Wenshan finished speaking and stood aside. The old blind man put down the tea in his hand and walked towards the door. Chen San, you. Su Rushue covered her mouth in surprise. What happened overnight? The skin I have taken care of with top-notch skincare products is not as good as yours. Besides, your height is not in line with medical logic, right? Sister Sue is envious. Besides, what kind of logic did you have from the day you met us? Ah, what happened at the door? Let's go and see. Before we could finish speaking, we grabbed Su Rushue's hand and ran over. Su Rushue was taken aback, her head heated up, and her body uncontrollably followed Chen San. She wanted to struggle, but Chen San's hand was stuck like pliers. Su Lao hasn't seen you for a long time and hasn't buried you yet. If I don't get into the soil, I won't have to worry about the Bai family leader anymore. Humph, then let me help you accelerate the speed of your old bones burial. Since even my son, Bai De Pao, dares to fight, how dare you? Oh, this is a fight between the small and the old. Chen San broke out of the crowd at some point and looked at Bai Bing lying on a stretcher with a contemptuous look, gloating and saying, Mom, yesterday I saw that you were still lively and arrogant. Who hit you so hard? You can't take care of yourself anymore, you need someone to lift you. Sigh. The Su family and Bai Bing were all stunned. Did this kid take hormones? He got so high overnight, and he's still not human. Bai Bing rubbed her eyes and looked at her in disbelief. That despicable expression reappeared in his eyes, instantly burning with anger and pointing at Chen San. Dad is him, this little rascal. Bai Bing finished shouting on the stretcher, his eyes wishing he had buried Chen San alive. Bai De Bao couldn't help but be stunned. Binger, you shouldn't have made a mistake, right? This young man is just a bit handsome, but his body is not as strong as yours. How could he hurt you? Bai Bing felt a bit embarrassed again and hesitated for a while without making a sound. At this moment, Master Wu explained to the Bai family leader that there was a hint of aura emanating from this young man, like the one who practiced the Dharma. Not to mention your son, there was a possibility of killing a Black Fist master. The Su family were all amazed. They thought Chen San was just a boy next to Zhang Daoren who served tea and poured water, but they didn't expect him to have such strength. What? How could this be? Even if the weight is several times lower, said the Bai family leader with an incredulous expression. Hee, the old man has a big world. Go out and take a look when you have time. There are many strange people and things happening now. Don't look like a country bumpkin, it makes me feel embarrassed. Kid, do you know who you're talking to? The Bai family leader said coldly, my Bai family, with millions of assets in my hands, is one of the top figures in the entire Eagle City and even the entire Jiangdong region. There are legends about me in the neighboring province, and the strange people and things you fabricate out of thin air are nothing but that you have never seen a higher level before. You can only use myths to suppress me. Chen San couldn't help but jump up and burst out, saying, you're a neighbor drying Sichuan peppercorns next door, you're such a jerk. The Bai family leader clasped his fists and said, Master Wu, thank you for smashing this kid's mouth. After speaking, he coldly opened Chen San's mouth. I saw Master Wu, who was covered in tendons and flesh, bouncing tightly against the ground, lifting his right palm and exhaling towards Chen San's cheek. Su Rushue hurriedly said, Chen San is careful. When Su Rushue finished speaking, she felt her heart beating faster and a strange feeling filling her brain. The old blind man couldn't sit still at this moment and was about to take action when Chen San said, Old man, I've broken through the realm. I'll try the water. If I can't beat it, remember to pull me over and not hit my handsome face. The old man's face turned black when he heard this. Kid, you really don't take me seriously. See if I don't blow your head out. Chen San dodged sideways and hit Master Wu's waist with a whip leg. Humph, it turns out to be a small inner diameter. Kid, you're still too young. Grab Chen San's ankle and spin around in the air, intending to smash him underground. Chen San felt his body lose control and shouted, Old man, help me. The old blind man flicked his finger, and Master Wu felt a pain. The strength in his hand couldn't help but decrease. Chen San seized the opportunity and landed a magnificent somersault on Master Wu's face, falling behind the old blind man. How dare the villain sneak attack? Look at me, if I don't trample on you, every foot will leave a footprint on the ground, like a mad cow rushing towards you in anger. The old blind man's right hand turned into a palm and his thumb pinched his ring finger, murmuring to the infinite heavenly sovereign. The left hand surged up and patted Master Wu. Master Wu's pupils contracted into a needle-like shape, and at that moment he felt death with fear in his eyes. He quickly spoke again, and I am Hong Xian. The words were filmed flying out before they could finish. The old blind man said calmly, those who have given you a chance have come to disturb my cultivation. Then, an endless killing intent erupted in his eyes.